foggy pre-dawn stillness of February 27th, 1776. This bridge across Moore's Creek will become the site of a battle between two armies of North Carolina men. On one side, composed of approximately 1,600 Scottish Highlanders of the Cape Fear Valley and former regulators from the North Carolina Piedmont, under the command of General McDonald, was marching from Cross Creek to Wilmington to link up with Royal Governor of North Carolina Josiah Martin and a British expedition under General Cornwallis. Their goal was to march to the relief of Josiah Martin and for the British to arm this loyalist army to sit right there and secure British authority and control of North and South Carolina. However, to do this, they must reach Wilmington, only 17 miles beyond this bridge. The Patriots, 800 to 1,000 strong, under the command of Colonel Moore, was tasked with keeping this link up with Wilmington from occurring. Rushing their forces from across the counties of eastern North Carolina, composed of militia and minutemen, a battle was inevitable. This clash of men, weapons, loyalties, and visions for North Carolina would be settled here on the banks of this slow-moving stream. Welcome to the Battle of Moore's Creek Bridge. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Dyer, and I'm a student with Liberty University. Today I want to talk to y'all about the Battle of Moore's Creek Bridge. Moore's Creek Bridge over my shoulder is actually a very short bridge. Probably wouldn't even stop to think much about it as you cross it. But on the early morning hours of February 27th, 1776, blood would be spilled on the far side of this bridge. Blood of North Carolina men. Blood shed by North Carolina men. So we have to understand why this battle occurred. In late 1775 and early 1776, North Carolina was quickly becoming engaged in the debate between the Patriots and the Loyalists. Around Cross Creek, modern-day Fayetteville, in early February, General McDonald, under the authority of Royal Governor Josiah Martin, determined to raise a Loyalist army of Scottish Highlanders and former regulators from the Regulator War in the North Carolina Piedmont. When about 1,600 of these men had been formed, only half of them armed, many of the Highlanders with nothing more than broadswords and dirks, would have to march to Wilmington. Behind me lays Moore's Creek Bridge. When the Loyalist Army, at this time now commanded by Colonel McLeod, as General McDonald had taken ill, led his small group of force here to this bridge. And when they found the bridge, it was not, as we see it today, planks laid across it, neatly organized. The Patriots had decided that the best way to slow their advance here would be to take up the cross planks and only allow the main beams that hold up the planks to remain. And in doing so, they also covered it with grease and tallow to make them slippery, so that if you fell, you would more than likely fall to your death in the 25-foot deep creek on our late February morning here in North Carolina. As they crossed it, they could only cross so many at a time. This did not allow them to build up combat power quickly on the other side. But once on the other side, they would have to advance up the narrow causeway right into the teeth of the Patriot defense. They would do this between 50 and 100 Highlanders, charging forward, yelling King George and broadswords, as they charged forward with only broadswords and dirks, no guns, into the mouth of the Patriot defense, bristling with rifles, muskets, and 2 cannons. Having crossed the bridge and built up his limited supply of manpower that he could, McLeod led his Highlanders on their famous charge, the last great Highland charge in history, up this narrow causeway to the heights just beyond, where the Patriots would be lying. On one side here, boarded on this causeway, was Moore's Creek, And on the other side would have been a flooded swamp, thick in woods and fog. Hemmed in on both sides, all he could do was make a frontal charge into the teeth of the defenses of the Patriots. Patriots that he did not know their strength, composition, or armament. But within moments of taking off on this charge, McLeod, along with 30 of his followers, would lay dead within 2 or 3 minutes of the fight beginning. Those who remained fled into the swamps, die of their wounds, disappear, or have to go back towards Moores Creek Bridge and cross, trying to avoid falling into the creek. Many would not. Many would die and disappear, never to be found. But the battle would be over quickly. As McLeod's men came around the corner of the causeway, they would break into this open area beyond me. 50 yards from where I stand is the earthworks that the Patriots had thrown up the day before. Now they stand quiet memories of a bloody morning in 1776. A simple marker shows where McLeod fell. And in this small opening right here, 30 Highlanders would breathe their last as they charged up toward Lillington and Caswell's men on the short high ground just beyond. The main road intersected through the middle of the earthworks, and along it stood a cannon. So when these men came around this corner, McLeod would have to run right into their teeth. There was nowhere else to go. It was a perfect triangle of death, a choke point, and a trap that the Patriots had so well thrown. Standing here amongst the Patriot earthworks, filled with Caswell and Lillington's men, you can see down back towards the bridge and the causeway, which the Highlanders would have come charging up that fateful morning. The entire scope of the battlefield is ensconced in this small little triangle of land. 30 men would lay dead at the bottom of it when the smoke would clear after 3 minutes of firefight. The swamps beyond, how many died we do not know. We can only make conjecture. But those who did flee had to go back up the bridge and 6 miles to the main encampment. After the battle, the planks would be re-put across the bridge, and the Patriot forces would advance forward, across, and take the entire Loyalist army of 800 to 1,000 men prisoner. Those prisoners were sent to jails across the North Carolina countryside, and its leaders would be sent to Halifax. There they would wait until decisions would be made to release them or to maintain them in prison. So what was the effects of this battle? North Carolina would maintain itself in the Patriot cause for the next 4 years and be one of the first states that would sit right there and allow its delegates to the Continental Congress to vote for independence. That is because this battle kept Josiah Martin from gathering his Loyalist army that he so hoped for and wanted to supply to maintain royal control of the North Carolina colony. So what is the effect of the battles of Moores Creek Bridge? For North Carolina, it brought 4 years of peace between the two sides. The Loyalists never mounted another large army, but supplied Cornwallis when he came in 1780 and 1781 with the ability to resupply his numbers. This would touch off a civil war within the Carolinas, one that would not be solved on the simple battlefields, but amongst yards, churches, schoolhouses, families, friends, and communities all across the upstate, the Sandhills, the Piedmont, extending all the way into the mountains of both North and South Carolina. This bloody civil war that would break out would not end until the war itself would end in 1783. So in conclusion, the Battle of Moores Creek Bridge was small. Compared to the battles of New York that summer, Trenton, Princeton, Brandywine, Yorktown, this is just but a small footnote in most histories of the American Revolution. But it is crucial to understand North Carolina's role in the American Revolution, how it became a patriot state, and how, through the blood that was shed on this small portion of hallowed ground. North Carolina to this day can thank those patriots that stood proudly on this dirt hill for its freedom and its independence.